He built an empire that touched every corner of the world. His name was whispered in boardrooms, shouted in stock exchanges, and etched into the very infrastructure of modern life. Elias Mercer, more than a billionaire. He was a living, breathing monument to ambition, a man whose decisions could reshape cities and whose words could move markets with mere inflection. He was the embodiment of success, the man who had seemingly conquered every mountain, amassed every conceivable treasure, and stood at the pinnacle of human achievement. His story was the ultimate aspiration, the dream that millions chased, the proof that with enough drive and vision, anything was possible. His companies weren't just businesses. They were testaments to his relentless pursuit, his unshakable will. The sheer scale of his influence was breathtaking, a global network woven from innovation, strategy, and almost mythical ability to anticipate and shape the future. He was the architect of his own destiny, a titan who had seemingly defied limitations and carved his legacy into the very fabric of our interconnected planet. But then one morning he vanished. No fanfare, no dramatic exit, no final pronouncement. Elias Mercer, the man who had everything, simply ceased to be a public figure. He walked away from a mirrored skyscraper that symbolized his power, leaving behind a void that the world struggled to comprehend. It was as if a mountain had decided to dissolve into mist behind the imposing, reflective walls of his corporate kingdom. Something far more profound than market fluctuations had begun to crumble. The relentless drive, the strategic brilliance, the sheer force of will that had propelled him to such extraordinary heights, it had all been fueled by a deeper, more complex engine than anyone realized. The truth that Elias eventually unearthed, in quiet, sterile solitude of his own success, was that his every decision, every audacious deal, every calculated risk, had never truly been about wealth for its own sake. It had been a desperate, consuming battle against a relentless adversary, fear. This wasn't the common fear of poverty or failure that many of us grapple with daily. Elias's fear was a more insidious, deeply rooted terror that gnawed at the edges of his consciousness. It was a fear of being forgotten, of his monumental achievements fading into insignificance. It was the paralyzing fear of losing control of the intricate empire he had meticulously constructed slipping through his fingers. And perhaps most profoundly, it was the deeply buried fear of still being that same man who, in the starkest terms, had once had nothing. The contrast between his past and his present had become not a source of pride, but a constant, agonizing reminder of vulnerability he felt he could never truly escape. His empire, instead of being a shield, had become a gilded cage, its very magnificence a testament to the extent of his internal struggles. The weight of perpetual performance, the pressure to maintain an illusion of unassailable strength, had become unbearable. He had achieved the dream of wealth, only to discover that the dream itself was built upon a foundation of anxiety, a frantic effort to outrun a past that always seemed to be catching up. And so, one day he chose a different path, a path not of further acquisition, but a radical divestment from the very principles that had defined his public life. There was no scandal to explain his disappearance, no dramatic farewell to soften the blow to his followers, no public trace left behind to hint at his whereabouts or his intentions. He simply stepped off the stage, leaving an epic narrative unfinished. This is the story of what happens after the dream of wealth, as Elias Mercer experienced it, reaches its terrifying and ultimately liberating climax. It's a journey into the heart of what it truly means to let go, to confront the deeply ingrained illusion that permanence is attainable, and to uncover quiet, often overlooked truth that genuine freedom isn't found in the accumulation of possessions or power, but in the profound and often challenging act of releasing what no longer serves us. It's about realizing that our true worth isn't measured by what we can build, but by what we can finally afford to set free. This is a deeply personal exploration. It's about the invisible architecture of our financial lives, the subconscious blueprints that dictate our relationship with money, often without our conscious awareness. Many of us, like Elias, might find ourselves driven by forces we don't fully understand, chasing external validation through financial success, only to discover an inner emptiness, We might feel a persistent sense of scarcity, even when our bank account suggests otherwise, or a gnawing guilt about having more than others, or a paralyzing fear that our current comfort is fragile and could vanish at any moment. These feelings are not random. They're often the echoes of deeply ingrained beliefs, absorbed from our childhood, our families, our cultures, and our societal narratives about money, wealth, and worthiness. This script is designed to help you recognize these patterns within yourself, to gently dissect the origins of your financial conditioning, and to begin the powerful process of reprogramming your internal operating system. We are going to embark on a journey to dismantle the myths that have kept you bound, to replace limiting beliefs with empowering truths, and to cultivate a mindset that not only allows for abundance, but actively attracts and sustains it. This isn't about quick fixes or magical thinking. It's about a profound internal shift that will naturally translate into tangible external changes. We will explore practical, yet deeply transformative actions that can rewire your brain and recalibrate your relationship with money. This includes harnessing the power of gratitude, delving into reflective journaling, and utilizing visualization techniques to manifest your desired financial reality. We'll connect these inner shifts to concrete habits, demonstrating how a change in mindset can lead to profound transformation in your financial outcomes. Ultimately, this is about more than just managing money. It's about becoming the master of your financial destiny, aligning your wealth with your deepest values, and embodying an identity of prosperity, integrity, and genuine freedom. This next stage is about actively dismantling the ingrained financial myths that no longer serve your highest good. Think of these myths as the invisible chains that bind you to scarcity, shame, or a skewed perception of abundance. For years, you might have subscribed to the notion that money is the root of all evil, or that rich people are inherently greedy, or perhaps, I'm just not good with money. These are not universal truths. They're often deeply embedded societal narratives or personal interpretations passed down through generations, masquerading as immutable facts. The truth is, money is a neutral energy, a tool, a facilitator. Its impact, positive or negative, is a reflection of the intention and consciousness with which it is wielded. To break free, we must first confront these limiting beliefs head-on, dissect their origins, and then systematically replace them with empowering truths that resonate with your authentic self and your aspirations for a life of genuine prosperity and fulfillment. Consider the pervasive myth that you have to suffer to earn. This belief system often leads individuals to overwork themselves to the point of burnout, believing that their effort must be proportional to their reward, and that any ease or enjoyment in the earning process negates its value. Conversely, true abundance often flows through channels of creativity, passion, and alignment, where work feels less like a struggle and more like a natural expression of one's gifts. Another common narrative is that there's never enough. This scarcity mindset can manifest as constant anxiety, an inability to save or invest because the underlying fear is that any surplus will inevitably be depleted. Challenging this requires embracing perspective of sufficiency, recognizing that the universe provides, and that our capacity to attract and manage resources is far greater than we often allow ourselves to believe. When you start to consciously question these ingrained narratives, you open up a vast space for new possibilities to emerge, allowing you to approach your financial life with a sense of freedom and agency rather than obligation and fear. Furthermore, the belief that you must choose between financial success and personal integrity is a profoundly damaging dichotomy. Many people feel compelled to compromise their values, engage in ethically questionable practices, or suppress their true desires in pursuit of wealth. However, authentic and sustainable abundance is intrinsically linked to a strong sense of purpose and ethical grounding. True wealth, in its broadest sense, encompasses well-being, fulfillment, and positive impact. By reframing your understanding, you can recognize that building wealth ethically and with integrity is not only possible, but is, in fact, the most robust and rewarding path to lasting prosperity. This involves identifying where these limiting beliefs originated, perhaps from family stories about financial struggles, societal conditioning that equates wealth with moral failing, or personal experiences that led to negative associations with money. Gently uncovering these roots allows you to understand that these beliefs are not inherent to you, but rather learned behaviors and perceptions that can be unlearned and replaced with more empowering, truth-aligned perspectives. Now, let's actively replace these myths with empowering truths. For the belief money is the root of all evil, substituted with the affirmation, money is a tool for good, amplifying my positive intentions and enabling me to create value in the world. To counteract, there's never enough. Embrace. I am a powerful creator, and I attract and manage resources with ease and abundance. There is always enough for my needs and desires. Replace, I'm just not good with money with, I am continuously learning and growing my financial intelligence. I am capable of mastering my finances and building wealth. These are not mere platitudes. They are cognitive reframes that, when repeated with genuine belief and intention, begin to rewire your neural pathways. They create new internal scripts that support the financial reality you wish to manifest. This process demands consistent effort, but the reward is a fundamental shift in your perception, enabling you to engage with your finances from a place of power, possibility, and unwavering self-worth. This conscious replacement is where the magic truly begins to unfold. It's not about ignoring reality, but about choosing which lens through which to view it. If your current lens is tinted with scarcity, every financial interaction will be viewed through that filter, reinforcing belief that there's never enough. However, by deliberately choosing a lens of abundance and possibility, you start to notice opportunities you previously overlooked. You feel more confident in making wise financial decisions, and you approach financial challenges with a problem-solving mindset rather than one of inevitable doom. This active, conscious re-education of your mind is the bedrock upon which a truly transformed financial life is built. It's about becoming the conscious architect of your financial thoughts, deliberately selecting the beliefs that will nurture growth and prosperity, rather than allowing outdated, limiting narratives to dictate your financial destiny. Reflecting on this journey so far, we've peeled back layers of ingrained financial conditioning, examining how deeply rooted perceptions shape our material reality. We've acknowledged the subtle, often unconscious, narratives that have guided our interactions with wealth, and begun the vital work of discerning the foundational beliefs that have either empowered or constrained us. It's as if we've been navigating a complex, internal landscape, charting the topography of our deepest assumptions about value, security, and our inherent worthiness. Each insight gained, each limiting belief identified, acts like a compass adjustment, recalibrating our internal direction toward a more authentic and expansive financial horizon. The accumulated effect of this internal exploration is a profound recalibration perspective, akin to stepping out of a dimly lit room into broad, clear light of day, where new possibilities unfurl before us with striking clarity. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes less about external acquisition and more about internal alignment. The exploration has illuminated how our relationship with money is intrinsically tied to our sense of self, our capacity for vulnerability, and our willingness to embrace a dynamic process of continuous growth. We've seen how the stories we tell ourselves about prosperity and scarcity are not mere anecdotes, but powerful forces that actively construct our lived experiences. As we pivot toward the final reflection, consider how these interwoven threads, the awareness of conditioning, the dismantling of limiting narratives, and the conscious cultivation of empowering truths, are converging to form a new understanding. It's a dawning realization that true mastery is not about conquering external territories of wealth, but about harmonizing our inner world with the outward expression of abundance, creating a resonance that naturally draws forth our desires. Drawing these strands together, the implication is clear. Our external financial reality is a direct reflection of our internal state. The work we've undertaken has been about tending to the fertile ground within, preparing it to yield a richer harvest. The principles explored are not isolated concepts, but interconnected elements of a holistic approach to financial well-being. They form a foundation upon which a robust and resilient financial identity can be built, one that is both aspirational and deeply grounded in personal integrity. This cumulative understanding positions us at the precipice of embracing a profoundly different way of being with money, a shift that promises not just material gains, but a deeper sense of peace and self-possession. The story of Elias Mercer, the titan who vanished, is not just a cautionary tale about the emptiness of relentless accumulation. It's a profound invitation to confront the very nature of our relationship with abundance. We've journeyed to the landscape of our inner financial world, unearthing the hidden beliefs that sculpt our perceived limitations and the quiet fears that dictate our pursuit of more. We've acknowledged that the grand empires we build, whether in business or in our personal aspirations, often serve as elaborate fortifications against a deep-seated sense of unworthiness or terror of insignificance. The mirrored skyscraper, the symbol of ultimate success, can, in fact, become the ultimate prison if it's merely a reflection of our attempts to outrun our shadows. The core message that resonates from this exploration is not about renouncing ambition or dismissing the value of material well-being, but about fundamentally re-architecting the why behind our pursuits. It's about understanding that true freedom, the kind Elias finally sought, isn't found in the unassailable heights of achievement, but in the courageous descent into self-acceptance and the radical release of the need for external validation. This realization is a pivot point, the moment where the illusion of control dissipates, revealing a far more potent source of power, our inherent capacity for self-mastery and authentic creation. The external world, our finances, our careers, our possessions, is but a manifestation of our internal landscape. When that landscape is fertile with beliefs of sufficiency, worthiness, and purpose, abundance flows not as a desperate chase, but as a natural, effortless current. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity, where every gain is precarious and every loss is catastrophic, to one of generative abundance, where opportunities are seen as invitations and challenges are viewed as catalysts for growth. This is a quiet truth Elias discovered, that the most valuable asset he could invest in himself wasn't his companies, but the fear that had driven him, the fear that had disguised itself as ambition. The true practice begins now, to integrate this understanding into the fabric of our daily lives, to consciously choose our internal narrative, and to build our financial structures not on the shifting sands of external approval, but on the solid bedrock of inner congruence and unwavering self-belief. Ultimately, this transformation is an ongoing evolution, a continuous refinement of our inner compass. It's about recognizing that our financial journey is deeply intertwined with our spiritual and emotional growth, and that genuine wealth encompasses a holistic sense of well-being. The capacity to let go of what no longer serves, be it a limiting belief, a detrimental habit, or an identity built on external validation, is the ultimate act of empowerment. It is in this space of release that true freedom is discovered, a freedom that is unshakable, unassailable, and utterly authentic. The empire Elias Mercer built may have vanished from the public eye, but the profound lesson he left behind is an enduring testament to the fact that the most significant conquests are not those made in the external world, but those achieved within the vast, unexplored territory of the self. This is an enduring legacy, the quiet power found not in possessing everything, but in finally being free to release it all. Sometimes the richest man is the one who finally stops counting. Up next, we reveal what freedom looks like when there's nothing left to prove. Moneybag subscribe to Richchemy, the channel where we don't just talk about wealth, we unmask it.